Yeah, and with technology,
Yeah.
maybe it's they.
Okay, let's call this work session to order. It is 9:31 here on July 2nd. This is our informal time, and I think Mark and Tia are coming to talk to us about Wolf Creek, but they're not here yet. So does anybody, we'll start with the public. Anybody from the public want to throw something to discuss out first? Okay, the board have anything for work session that you want to discuss?
No, all that, well, I wanted to get this in the paper, so I have to wait, you know. I called last week for the Blue Ribbon Commission, and I have a lot of people, you know, inquiring that, well, am I gonna hand pick these? No, I don't want hand picked. I want a cross-section of people within the county to come forward and to volunteer to be on this Blue Ribbon Commission. So this is not something that I would pick somebody. What I'm trying to do is get different thought processes, different, just people that think differently, so that they could come up with constructive, not constructive criticism, constructive ways that we can promote the county that I can bring back to my fellow commissioners. So so again, that's something that I'm asking for individuals from the county that have got thoughts on how to promote the county to come forward and sit on this commission. It isn't something that I would hand pick individuals, but contrary to that, completely contrary to that. So, all to do is get it.
You don't want criticism on that?
Constructive criticism, but I hate to even say constructive criticism. I want constructive suggestions how we can move forward. We can all set and Monday morning quarterback about all the things that we've done wrong. What we need to do is have a group that can funnel information to the government officials and elected officials on various suggestions, out of the box things that if possibly they're out there beyond what has been suggested in the various committees that I've been privileged to sit on.
Look out ahead. Look
Yeah.
out ahead.
Yeah, so it is, and I have so many people, well, you know, who are you picking, who are you picking? No. If I pick people, then I'm gonna pick people that have similar thoughts to what I've got, and that doesn't do any good. So we need people that think differently, and so I'm trying, hopefully we get a very cross-section, rural, manufacturer, education, you know, legal, the whole thing, and to be able to establish this kind of think tank. If you're gonna surround yourself with people that think the same way I do, that'd be a very shallow committee.
Some young people.
Young and old,
Yeah.
because there's all facets of the people in this community, and it's,
The thing we kind of said, I kind of mentioned that night, and I think Holly mentioned it, is there's all kinds of independent think tanks out there that were established to promote Seneca County, the Convention Visitors Bureau, SIDEC, Tiffin Tomorrow, McDonald's Coffee Club, whoever. You know, maybe you could work within one of those groups to get, rather than create another government group.
Yeah, the issue with SIDEC and regional planning is they've had suggestions, which I come forth with those suggestions, and they have not, on their thoughts on improving, you're late.
We've been shoving 5 pounds into a 10 pound.
Yeah, on their thoughts
5 pound sack.
on ways to promote the county. And so those think tanks, again, those two specific groups, those were the suggestions that I brought forth. And those have not been perceived well, so that's
Yeah,
what
not that privileged.
I'm trying to get input from other groups that I have not been privileged to sit on. And I like the letter to the editor mentioned that maybe I need to do the coffee shop circle. But I'm afraid that's gonna be more criticism and not suggesting ways to move forward. I don't want this to be, excuse my language, a bitch session. This is not that.
How about
more promotion on the quote work sessions, inviting these people to come in and express their ideas during the work sessions.
That's a good idea. And another thing is one of the suggestions that was made is a monthly letter in the paper of these various thoughts. But first we have to do is establish this committee. I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Wagner, but
People are free
working
to
through
come
the
in.
existing committees, that's exactly what we've done. And that wasn't perceived well.
But any group, any individual can come to any meeting.
Oh, absolutely.
And express anything they want to. And that was the whole idea of the regional, the evening stuff, was to get more participation. I just hesitate to form another government group to, I don't know, anybody, we're open to suggestions from anybody, any informal club, any Kiwanis club, any group that wants to.
But it's not coming forth, so that's what I am trying to do is to bring it to come forth.
I'm not gonna beg people for
Yeah.
their opinions.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm begging for suggestions on how to promote the county and how to move it forward. Because it's obvious that what we're doing, and I shouldn't say it's obvious, maybe obvious to me that what we're doing is not moving the county forward in a manner that I feel and the committees that I've felt are conducive to economic development.
I wonder if you ask the other groups, like I mentioned that night, and Jeff has just mentioned, I wonder what they, they probably all have a different opinion of why if they feel things aren't moving forward at a reasonable, if they think we're spinning our wheels, or if they say, no, we're making progress. If you ask Tiffin Tomorrow and the Chamber and SIDAC and Fostorak, I'm just wondering as a starting point, do they all see different things? Is that a way? And are those groups, I'm sure they're all overlapping to some degree, their natural functions, they overlap a degree, that they should kind of know where the others are coming from and what their focus and concerns are. Obviously, SIDACs are different than Tiffin Tomorrow's and then the Visitors Bureau, but yet
Well,
we're all for
again,
the same common good.
the committees that I were on all seem to be very united in their thought process.
What if you established a special committee through regional planning or through the Council of Governments that with the sole purpose of this, ways to promote as a think tank of ways of promoting the county, and then have them work through that group making recommendations to the commissioners?
Yeah, there's various ways to do it, but what I'm trying to do is attract people that are not in the normal flow of these
Well, you
groups.
should still have various cross-sections of people appointed to that special committee, that would address Jeff's concerns of establishing another government entity. This would be part of a government entity, just with the purpose of suggesting ways to the officials of promoting the county.
Well, again, this is a non-paid position. I don't know if I really call it a government entity, but just
Well-
concerned citizens.
Yeah, I understand.
Concerned citizens that are willing to, that have constructive ideas that have not set on some of these, of course, anybody's invited to set on these other committees, but they haven't come forward. So we have so many naysayers in the community. I'm saying, okay, let's get a group of the naysayers together and say, okay, what can we do positive? It's easy to sit around and just criticize in the Monday morning coffee shops. But let's get this group together and see if they can come up. I don't know. I'm drawing at straws.
Do you have a comment section on your webpage?
Do we? I don't know. I'm not a web
I mean, that would be something that, without organizing, because it's the one, I don't know if we're just talking out.
Sure.
I'm talking as a citizen, I guess not as a county engineer now, but the concern I would have is that you put a group of people in the room that come up with an idea that you can't do, either financially or realistically or legally, and within the first couple of groups that have these ideas that you can't do, then the groups shut down because, well, they're not gonna listen to my idea anyhow, and you end up hurting the system more than you helping. I mean, the three of you are here representing us. You know, not as a democracy. You're representing us, and it's your decision. You were hired, elected to make those decisions. You make the decision based on information you get. But a comments page on your web page, and if the paper were to put it that in the section, you know, have it every day, just that little blurb, comments to Seneca County Commissioners, boom, that on a comments page, you could get those comments. If I have something to say, I'm like, wow, you know, blah, 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 and I put it down and all three of you get it, it's available, that, you know, even make it similar to what the blog is or whatever, as long as it doesn't get out of control and people start putting stupid things on it, that let people comment, you know, and have open discussion on, that's the social
That's
media
exactly what
of
I'm trying
the
to do,
day.
is get comment.
And then you don't have a group of people that are organized to do a certain thing, and they come forward and have an idea that you can't promote. And not only does it look bad to them because you aren't doing it, but it looks bad to the public, and nobody knows the reason why you can't do it. There are lots of reasons that you couldn't do things, and that there are great ideas that you just legally can't do, physically can't do, financially can't do. But this allows the people to have their day, have their time to speak, to put their comments down on paper. You all get them. If you wanted to make it open to everybody in the blog style, that everybody could see those comments of what people are talking about, and there could be open discussion right on your webpage, and you could go there to visit those things. And then you're not setting up a new group of another layer. That's just a thought.
Okay, with that, let's move into the Wolf Creek thing. You folks have something to present to us?
Sure.
Yep, looks like it.
Okay, so Joe and Jason have been working on it, and you can see right now, this is the amount of the channel that they have inspected.
Okay.
So they've got a pretty good start, but we got started into it a little bit late, into the first of the year. Rains kept us out of it. The boys were out there yesterday, but got kind of stranded, so what they've been doing is they've been in a boat, going up and down the channel, doing the survey work. Nikki, can you?
Is the yellow,
The
the
yellow
entire,
is the channel, entire channel.
the
that
entire
we're-
channel,
that
so
we're
the
doing
orange is
inspection.
what has been surveyed, so
Correct.
you've got over half of it.
Oh, yeah. About half-ish, you know, you've got a lot of turns and, I mean, it's, we'll say
Yeah,
half.
that'd be different, yeah.
Those turns are the problem areas we're
Yeah.
finding,
So,
which is
we've got a lot of the, I wouldn't say the easy, but I mean, the less difficult because of the amount of turns. Oh, thank you. There we go.
it's upside down.
Can we rotate that?
Is it?
too? Yeah.
Right, she's the one.
Say,
that
man,
put
that's
it
not
in.
where the quarry is.
I think you just had a good
That's why I put it in the scanner. There we go.
There we go.
Sorry.
Is that false story at the bottom?
Yeah, this is one.
Okay.
That's Phil. So,
So it flows up.
North, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So-
It's supposed to.
Sometimes not
Too late.
always. But. So that's the amount of the channel that they currently have inspected. If you go to the next. Is that upside down
That's
too?
upside down.
So I.
Yeah.
So here's the channel. And you can see there's two blue circles here. This is a red line, two blues, blue, yellow dot, a red line, blue dot. Those are, the red lines are sediment bars or sandbars. The blue dots are leaning trees, and the yellow dot is a log jam. Then the next one. In case you have to flip that one around too.
You were consistent.
Yeah, consistently wrong, it's okay. And then, okay, the channel again, and you can see, again, we have sediment bars, leaning tree, sediment bar, sediment, leaning tree, sediment bar. So they're documenting all the points we're gonna be able to go right back to those points and see where the work needs to be done and do the design work. So we're getting there. Weather has not been cooperative for us, so, when the river's high, of course, the guys can't get out on it. And plus, it doesn't do us any good because we're not seeing, we wouldn't be able to see some of the jams and the sediment bars anyway because of high flow. So, when they're able to get out, they've been getting out. They get tired of hearing me on a regular basis at their desk going, "You going to Wolf Creek today?" So, Joe's also in charge of ditch maintenance, so we've been doing spraying as well on top of that. So he's flipping back and forth, and we're putting him to the task, I guess. So we are progressing. It's not that we aren't going to be we're not going to make the July date as far as the board meeting goes, only because weather is prohibiting us. We got started in February. Is it February when we got the plan of work and everything figured out? So, and it was raining then. I mean, we had high waters for the most part then. I mean, the boys got out there as soon as they could, as far as when they could actually do a good inspection process. Because we needed to inspect it during low flow so we can see what's going on. So that we can see all all the jams and all the silt bars. And correct me if I'm wrong, so.
See, if I can have it, understand that, I want to try to get my hands around this. I mean, I'm going to be very simplistic at this, but started out and, okay, there was a petition filed that certain people wanted ditch maintenance, so you're doing the investigation now. We had to send a letter, and that's what really resonated the whole thing with me, because I guess when we send this notification out, it costs the county about $7,000 to send this notice out, and correct me if I'm wrong. And that notice stated that there was going to be a meeting on the 16th. So, and now we're ready, and I understand all the issues. I'm not faulting anybody. I'm just trying to understand the process. So, would we continue to have a meeting on the 16th and people just to show up and turn around and say, well, we're not ready yet because of various reasons?
And you would just postpone it or.
Okay, does that mean that we're gonna have to send out another notification?
No.
If we set one up for 2 months later or 3 months or whatever it is, that mailing would suffice and we don't have to do it again?
If we canceled the meeting, then we have to start over.
Yeah.
If we have the meeting and say, okay, we're gonna continue this on.
Yeah.
Whatever
Okay,
date,
okay.
then we'll.
Okay.
The original
So
mailing.
see, it's really important that we keep the
Yeah,
meeting.
absolutely.
Oh, yes, you have to keep the
Okay,
meeting.
okay.
Yeah, you don't want to get rid of
The
it.
original mailer was for December or sometime, whenever the first meeting was, and then we
Right.
continued that to July. I guess my concern is that whatever meeting that was, December meeting, we granted the petition, the commissioners granted the petition based on the engineer's preliminary report. Then we ordered him to do the final report,
Which is what you're doing now.
which is what they're
We're
doing
doing
now.
inventory for now to be able to do the design, so.
The question was said at that time, well, we want to be sure we schedule this far enough out that we'd have the final report done. And July 16th was chosen, so I understand the reasons too. I'm just disappointed that it's going to look kind of bad that we get there and we're going to say, well, sorry, we don't have it, but there's nothing we can do about it.
Realistically, what are you looking at completion? Realistically, and I know nobody can predict what the weather's gonna be, but
They'll be able to get back in next week. The water, I don't think you'll be able to get in this week. Well, I know you won't be able to. With
is
the
there any
July
way it could be
holiday.
done by the 16th?
No.
Well, we can certainly give an update.
We can give
I
them-
mean,
Yeah.
we'll show what we have. I mean, we'll definitely, we'll do the same thing. We'll do a little bit more of a formal presentation
Okay.
and show, what we have found to date and go from there. They'll keep working toward, they'll work on next week to
Well,
see where we're at, but
If we're going to postpone it again, let's postpone it long enough that we
No, we're done.
actually are positive we've got it done. And we'll have to choose the date, think of a date, but we'll choose a date then on the 16th when.
What are you thinking,
Well,
a couple, 2-3 months? 6 months?
oh, I don't think 6 months. How much longer do you think
Give me
it?
a couple months, throw the plan together.
And we want this plan, no offense, Jason, we don't want it thrown together because
No, no.
it's going to have to stand up to some
A lot of
intense
scrutiny.
criticism by some individuals.
That's why I
so-
want to make it as detailed as possible.
yeah,
yeah.
And
Yeah.
And they're actually taking more points than what the original plan of work called for. And we have to, so we have to come, when we do the design, we've got to set some standards.
Will you
that we
establish
have-
the cost then?
We will.
Once the
put together
design
and
work's all
establish
done, or the assessment, then you'll establish a cost, and then at that point, then it's, do this
That's what we're supposed to
presentation,
have.
you'll break
Fine,
down
right.
so that
The
each
cost
landowner
estimate, yeah.
or will know how much.
Yeah,
Mark
that's,
will do the
that's what's supposed to
assessments.
be in the final thing, right?
Right.
That we're, to have by whatever new date we end up setting.
There
Correct.
should be a
That's-
schematic
yeah.
saying John Smith owes
That is correct.
$10 per year and Judy owes $15.
Just
per
on
year.
average, just so you guys understand, is when we do a ditch project, it's at least 1.5 to 2 years
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
project to go into place, to even, get to that final construction, so it's,
That's a
even though
two-mile
we
channel.
started this and we actually are moving pretty good. And at that point, we don't even have to do inventory of channels for the most part, like we're doing here. And most of those channel sizes, when we do a ditch project, are about a mile or less,
Mhm.
wouldn't you say, guys?
Total length.
So,
What's the total length of this? I mean, just,
about 14 miles.
so,
Well, you guys come up with a date, then we'll
And
establish
then on-
that in the 16th, but make sure that next date, we can have the whole thing done. Whether that's November or whatever, make sure it's far enough out. that
And we'll
we
sit
can have it
down.
done.
we'll all force it down and come up with a date. So by the end of next week, we should have a good idea of where they're at as far as the inspection process.
Okay.
And then it shouldn't take much more than a month to put the full design together and be able to get it to you to be able to do assessments,
Right.
so.
Now, according to my reading of the code, 6131.21, at the final hearing, the board either affirms its former order to proceed with the assessments and order the contract, or set aside the former order. So the previous Board of Commissioners said, yes, we grant the petition.
Correct.
We receive the final report and we say, yes, we agree with that, or no, we set that aside. Then that takes a formal resolution to do that at that time.
Correct.
Right.
And this is the first ditch petition that I've actually been involved in, because your office has been good about doing the co-op projects, and we appreciate that. And there'll be an assessment schedule attached to that. And we also have to set the schedule of payments. According to the law, it looks like if it's under 500, they get 2 semi-annual payments.
Mhm.
If it's over 500, then the board can stretch that
Set the
out if they
schedule.
choose to do that. And the other thing is, under point 2.1, it lists like 8 factors to be considered in determining that final yes or no. So those will all be addressed in the report, I assume?
That is correct.
Okay, good.
and is it based on when we have that final report and that resolution on when the assessment starts? Is it based on when the work starts, when the work's done?
Well, there's 2 different phases. There's the construction costs that they have to pay for, and then the assessments. The construction costs would not start until after it's done, and then it hits the correct tax period. So in that case, the general funders would, or somehow we need to get funding in place prior to.
That's what I was wondering, do we borrow the money? Because the
Well, it
assessments
depends
are
on what
over.
number he says.
Yeah, it depends. We have a preliminary estimate based on air photography, and, I mean, in the preliminary report, I put together a guesstimate, it was scientific, but it was an estimate. And now we are detailing that estimate to make it a little harder numbers that we can actually stand behind, numbers that we will go to contract with. If, for instance, that number turns out to be $1.5 million, well, that greatly exceeds my original estimate, and the board can look at it and say, you told us this, but based on your estimate, now you're here, I don't know, the benefits may not outweigh the costs anymore, or it may come in, maybe $50,000 over, and you look at it and say, well, that's really pretty close to your estimate, we still affirm that the costs don't outweigh the
So again,
benefits. So-
the funding, because the assessments won't pay for the project the first year. So how is, it's just thrown out, the project's 500,000,
Mhm.
and the assessments come in at 100,000 a year. well, where's that other 400,000 come? Does that come from us, or do we borrow that, or how does that
Yeah, it-
bonded, or?
The code dictates that. The last project we did, which was only a $150,000 project, the general fund advanced the money, and the commissioners at that time allowed the homeowners to have a 5-year span to repay that money, and we're almost to the end of that 5 years.
That was Eden Park.
Right.
Okay, so we
16.
bonded or borrow it,
The
or?
general fund physically
Okay.
gave the cash to that fund to
Okay.
pay for the construction, and then it's slowly been repaid. That was a interest-free option for the homeowners.
Okay.
This one, again, I don't know what the cost is off the top of my head. You can do that same thing again, give them that 5 years, or the code allows for bonding, specific bonding purposes for that, which then will cost extra to the project because there will be a percentage rate.
Interest.
The original estimate was 225,000. And Mark had mentioned at that time that it could perhaps be done in stages, and that was something that I'm gonna try and push, is that it be done in stages, do 100,000 stage or 50,000 stage, because each of these, what they call them sandbars, requires a permit, which takes a lot of time to do. So maybe you can be doing the worst one while you get the permit for the second one, and perhaps we can spread it out that way. I don't know, but
Yeah,
you'll address that in your final report.
Right,
I
start
assume.
with the log jams and leaning trees, because some sandbars are there because of the log jams and leaning trees, and they will physically disappear on their own, maybe. And we address those issues first, and then we go to phase 2, where we look at the larger sandbars that are causing other sandbars to be developed behind them. Then we look at some sandbars and say there's no point in taking that out, because it's in the crook of a stream, and based on velocities, it's gonna be back next year. So there's absolutely no point in removing that sandbar. So the stage construction of a channel this large, I think, is still a very wise thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
No, that's,
Okay, so the plan is we're gonna meet on July 16th at 10 o'clock at the fairgrounds as scheduled. We'll let you guys do a preliminary, here's what we've got so far. We'll apologize and say, sorry it isn't done, but we'll set the next meeting then at whatever date we feel is appropriate at that time. That's reasonable game plan.
so we'll talk sometime before then about what dates you're thinking,
Oh, yes.
and then what the calendars are.
That was the other thing I guess I wanted to ask you was before we have the final hearing then, the next final hearing, I would like to see the report a week, 2 ahead of time, so that we have time to think about it
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
We can't discuss it as a board, but I'd like to at least read it ahead of time. So let's schedule our meeting far enough so that we can have the report a week or 2 ahead of time. All right, thank you very much for coming in. Any other final questions from the
No,
board?
no, thank you.
Fine. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I,
Sure.
on a different note?
Yeah,
Can I-
yeah, yeah.
Can I do something with you guys real quick? Okay. So, you guys know Brett Margroff.
We've heard of him.
A few bit. Brett is our cover crop specialist, nutrient management specialist. He just received a $10,000 grant from the Ohio Wildlife Federation to basically promote cover crops in the county. And part of the grant is, what we propose is establishing a permanent cover crop display. And we'd like to do that at the service center. And if you look at the map, what we'd like to do is, there's a section of the land just south of the lane, between the lane and the engineer's office, that the guys just mow. It's, all it is mow. There's not enough room really to build much of anything there. The area that I have outlined is like about 1 acre. Jason outlined the whole area. It's about 1.7 acres total. We would like to establish and maintain a permanent cover crop display area there for producers. It'd be less mowing for the guys. They would have to mow around it, but we would maintain it ourselves. There would be we're gonna just basically spray the area and no-till straight into it. So there's no disturbing the soil or anything like that. That's gonna transpire, so we're not gonna do anything that's gonna cause a lot of, I don't wanna call it damage, but disturbing the soil. So it was just basically spraying 100 by up to 500. We may, that's the maximum we would go. We're thinking more of like 200 to 250. Running a no-till drill, which is 10 feet wide, through it, and having about 20 different cover crops and blends of cover crops with permanent signage that we would display promoting cover crops and informing the producers so they can see it through the various stages. Jeff, did you go on Brett's different covers? His
missed it, no,
Okay.
not-
What, last fall, Brett did a stage and cover crops tour with local producers, and we had a pretty good tour. We ended up having to take 2 scat buses, so I mean, which is pretty good for just the small hometown cover crop tour. What we want to do is be able to promote the different stages and the management techniques. So we're going to be looking at easy management, where it's, you know, it's just going to be for that farmer who's just getting started into cover crops, to a more diverse and I'll call it skilled management, because it's going to require a little bit more than just, some may just winter kill, whereas others are going to come into the spring and you're going to need to do some management types. For instance, Jason planted it, how tall of rye was it?
About 6 foot.
6 foot tall, so, you know, the spring, so it's a little bit more intense management. So we want to create a display, so we're looking at like 100 foot, which is about a sprayer length, boom length, that we would just run through and kill the grass, and then no-till the cover crop, the up to 20 different cover crops and blends into it. So it's something that we'd like to do. Of course, we would need your guys' permission in order to do that on the south side of the road. It would be from where you can see there, where the pavement kind of crooks as it gets closer to the ag center. It's nothing but pond there, so we can't really utilize that area. So it would have to be in the area east of that. Thank you. Yeah, you want to see it?
Does
East
the
of
board
it.
have any problems with that?
So.
It's gonna attract more geese.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Is it gonna attract more geese? No, we're actually staying away from the geese because we'd like our cover crops to stay.
I bet the farmer likes the soybeans too.
So, yeah, well, you can't help it. That pond has always been
If you
an
have any way
attraction for
to
geese.
get rid of those things,
We,
We got a cannon.
yeah, we got a cannon.
I saw a
Serious.
cannon set up the other
Yeah,
day. Cannon,
yeah, Mylar, tying Mylar. A couple years ago, we had Mylar out there to
okay.
kind
Mylar
of,
is a
like a-
deterrent?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything we can do to help with that, I don't want the sheriff's people to get twitchy if they hear a cannon going off.
Crossbody's out there shooting, oh my
At
goodness.
least we can point it in the wrong other direction.
The other direction. It's the propane cannons. It's just the boom that disturbs them and makes them not want to be there, so yeah.
Yeah. Just before you lay it out, Judge Meyer is building a shed right here. Just make sure that.
Okay, that's the same area, all right, yeah.
That's
Judge
right.
Meyer is building a garage.
It's gonna be fairly close up here to the road, but
Yeah, we
I know
just
he's coming
approved that
back here
this
some,
week, too.
so just, you might wanna talk to him before you kill the grass. I think it's a great idea, I just don't want it to be
Yeah, good point.
in the way of each other, so.
You can get with Rich Zeiss and he can, because he's building it, we approved that last week. So he can
Okay.
stake it off where they're putting it at.
Or maybe we could move.
Move
this
it,
right.
shed.
move it.
Now,
Move it more
Nothing's
towards,
built yet, so,
move it more towards the
right.
road.
but I would get with him as soon as possible to,
Work with the judge as far as
Right.
where that goes. But I don't have a problem using that area if
Yeah.
you guys
none
don't.
whatsoever.
Okay.
But yeah,
All
work
right.
with the judge. We do need that building he's putting up. It's not very big, but it's a.
How
equipment
big of a
shed.
building is it?
2-bay garage, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 for
36.
24 by 36,
Yeah.
I thought it said, yeah.
So that's a pretty decent. Okay. All right, well then if we can get them to move it more. Isn't there entry right here across from this?
It's
Or is
close,
it back
it's
a little bit?
further down a little bit, but I think we were planning on going between these 2 trees with the building right now, so that's where Judge Meyer had wanted it, so I don't know. We talked to Rich and talked to the judge, and
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be.
either
so-
that or just move the whole thing to closer to my fence.
Well, it wouldn't be so bad if it was here. We'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
We'll
deal with the
coordinate.
logistics of it.
So, all right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think a cover crop thing would be nice. I know the meeting in February or March, whenever it was out there, Heidelberg was very well attended.
Well, we're hosting the Ohio No-Till Conference, till Field Day, this year too. Brett's in charge of that, so we've been able to bring that to Seneca County, and we're gonna see a couple hundred people in Seneca County looking at cover crops, so. yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, we're ready for our formal meeting now. Is that plan the agenda? Okay, let's begin with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's postpone our regular business and let the folks from OSU come. Oh, let's do a roll call first. Good idea.
Commissioner Wagner,
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller.
Here. First time we forget that, I'm done. All right.
Didn't know we were gonna throw you off track.
Yeah, I forget roll call at least once a month. I don't know why, but I forget it.
Another way to keep geese out of soybeans is some of that plastic snow fence, on the idea that when they're going out in soybeans right now, they can't fly. So you just have a small barrier to keep them out. We
Okay.
used that up around one of the ponds up in Sandusky County.
Put it between the field and the
Yep.
goose area. Huh,
Yeah,
okay, that wouldn't be hard to do.
yeah. And it doesn't have to be real high, because at that time, it's mostly when your fledglings are going out there and eating it. So a small snow fence will do that.
Okay,
Where-
it's a little late for the beans this year, but they've ate a heck of a pile of beans back there off our renter.
Mhm.
I would be upset if I was him. All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Back to, the reason we wanted to come in today was just to kind of give you an update of the things that are going on here in Sandusky County with extension. Excuse me. You have to remember that I work both ways, Sandusky and Seneca County. I apologize.
That's all right.
But to let you know things that are going on here in Seneca County. My name's Mark Koenig. In case I know, I haven't had the pleasure to meet you. And I am the director in Sandusky and Seneca County. The reason we wanted to come in, like I say, is just give you a quick update of things that went. On the ag side, we had pesticide recertification training, went very well. And we did about 120 applicators down here in Seneca County. We did them one day. We had a split session. We had an afternoon session, then we had an evening session. So it seemed to go pretty well. The other thing, the Master Gardener program is continuing very well. They tried to do a new class this winter, but however, fell short of the number of applicants we really needed to do it. But again, they're striving really hard to do another one. That's kind of what's going on with that. I'm going to let Ann jump in here with the 4-H aspects, kind of give you an idea of things that are going on there. And then we have some other kind of news that we want to just give you a quick heads up of what's going on. Ann.
I'm Ann Golden, a 4-H educator. I haven't met you, but these people know me fairly well. In the 4-H program, as far as our enrollment goes, and I hadn't thought about this before, but we have a little over 1,000 members. That's been pretty consistent for the last 4 to 5 years. So that's maintained and been very strong, I think, for this area. We did camp about 3 weeks ago now. And our camp has been pretty steady. We had a little over 100 kids that went to camp. I had 29 counselors. Those counselors are youth between the ages of 14 and 19, or 18 going on 19. And I had probably one of the youngest groups of counselors I've had in a long time. Some of my counselors are 4 and 5 year experienced counselors, but this year I had quite a few younger ones. So we've got a new crop coming in and getting started. That'll be good for the next few years. Camp went extremely well. We were the first camp in, so it was very cold. We ended up canceling lots of water activities because it was too cold. Either that or it wasn't stormy, but the water was pretty rough. So there were times when it just wasn't real safe to do that. But camp went very, very well. The kids did real well. And some other things that are happening with 4-H. I have a new program that I just started this year. It's called Car-Teens. We're working with the courts, and they are assigning youth to our program. It's a mandatory program. Those youth that have first-time violations or not real severe driving violations are assigned to our program. We've had a range of between 8 and 12 youth coming to the program. We're doing it once a month. And then I have a group of teenagers that are the instructors.
It is teen instructed only, or primarily. My youth went through some training this past fall, or like in November, in Columbus. We went to Ottawa County and spent time with that program and learned from that program. And then my youth decided that they really wanted to try their skills or work on their skills, so they invited parents to come to one meeting, and they actually did the program with parents and some other youth that had come to just participate in the program. So our kids have gotten off to a really good start. They are doing a wonderful job. The youth that I have in the program, I have 2 that are seniors, the others are juniors through freshmen, and so I'm going to have those youth for a couple of years, and they're doing just a fantastic job, doing a really good job of leading in and teaching all the primary things that you need to know about driving. Kids' responses on the evaluations have been, I'll drive more safely. They feel that the program is much more informative in relation to learning to drive because it's hands-on. It's not just sit down and, we're going to preach at you or lecture. It's a hands-on kind of program, so it's very experientially based. And the youth that are participating in that are responding very positively from that. Since the very first class, we've had at least 1 or 2 youth that have volunteered to come back and also be teen instructors as well. So we are pulling youth from the actual program where they participated, coming back and actually participating as instructors. And I'm going to begin to get them in the process. So that way our pool will begin to expand as far as instructors. We have 3 different breakdowns of sessions or learning experiences. And I have at least 2 youth that are teaching those at a time, so the team teach them. And that way, that helps to strengthen their skills as well and working with each other. So that's a key one, that's just getting started, and we'll go through the end of the year and working with Judge Meyer. He wanted to do it for a year and evaluate and see how it's going, and I think it's been very, very positive.
Does Judge Meyer is there any funding that he has to
No.
pay in, or?
Well, I take that back. What's happening is, we charge $30 for kids to participate in it. And that's typical with other programs throughout the state. I compared to some other counties. It's being done in about 40 counties, 45 counties throughout the state. So it's really growing and building. And a good many counties are charging around $30. Some are charging up to $50. What's happening is that's coming out of the youth fines or the youth, whatever costs that the kids are paying. It's coming out of their money. Some counties, like Ottawa County, they pay above and beyond whatever costs, the court costs they have, they pay that additional amount. The court here in our county felt that they didn't want to charge extra to the youth or the families, so they decided to incorporate it or just take it out of the funds that they're getting in. That's how they're paying for it. And then the other program that I'm doing is Real Money, Real World. It's a financial literacy or financial management program working with the schools. I'm doing it, and I have been doing it in Seneca East and Bettsville. I added New Regal this year in the 6th grade class. I'm working with the 7th grade classes in, let me see, 7th grade classes both in Bettsville and at Seneca East, and that's been very positive. There we go in and do 1 or 2 days of educational programming and helping the kids understand about managing money and handling money, and then we do a simulation where we give the kids a job, how much money they're going to make, how many people are in their family, and they go through each of the different sections, like electricity, buying a home, renting a home, buying a car, maybe you're going to have to ride a bicycle because you can't afford whatever. So they have to go through and make decisions, and when they finish, hopefully they'll come out with a little bit of money left over. Some come out with more, and some have a real hard time making it. Kids' responses have been very positive. That one of the byproducts of this is kids will say, I'm not having children early. Children are way too expensive. I didn't know childcare was this expensive. And that's something that really impresses them. Kids' comments will be, now I understand why my parents say, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have that. And I've had some really neat comments based on that. So there's some really positive things coming out of that program.
Great.
So those are the primary things that are going on with 4-H and some of the newer stuff that's going on with 4-H.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we just wanted to give you, a quick update of things that are going on. One of the main things we want to do, though, is to give you a heads up. There is going to be some major changes going on. I'm going to retire at the end of August, and our 2 office, Ann and Cindy, both are going to probably be retiring within the year. So there will be some major changes going on, and we just kind of want to give you some heads up that we're going to be asking for your help in replacing these people. And, you know, maybe as advisors or maybe as people to sit on our advisory board as to helping us replace them. As far as our budget, we seem to be right on time with the budget. We appreciate, you know, your support with that. Again, things are very tight, but everybody knows that. So. But we just wanted to give you a quick heads up as to what was going on, and again, thank you for your support.
Well, thank you for your service for all those years. We all have a lot of years in. I don't know.
Ann has a whole lot more than I do. She has been with the program for a very long period of time. So. Well,
Being a newbie, where does your revenue generate from?
our revenue is basically 50-50. 50 from the local, from your support, and 50 from the state and federal. As far as educators go, such as Ann, first educator charge to the county is $27,500. Second educators are $40,000. And then, of course, you know, whatever office expenses we have, as far as expense for local staffing, that is all county generated.
So you got a budget of?
We had a budget this year of $90,000, and then from the state, we got approximately $80-some thousand to operate.
Okay, now of that 90,000, that's split between Sandusky and?
No, it's strictly Seneca County.
Seneca County, oh, Seneca County.
That would cover Ann's cost and also Cindy's cost as the office associate running the office.
And you're governed by the state? Is there
We're
one of
governed
my fellow
by,
commissioners on the board?
we're governed by OSU Extension, Ohio State University Extension, and we also have an advisory committee of local people that help us.
A good mix from both counties?
Strictly Seneca.
Separate advisory councils.
So you have separate advisory councils,
Yes.
one from
Yes.
Seneca, and even though,
I work for two counties,
okay,
all the policy that happens in Seneca County is generated within Seneca County, or OSU Extension.
okay. And the replacement of yourself and two of your staff, that will be handled by which board? What, or is there a combined board, or is there a search committee, or what?
The replacement will be a search committee. It will be generated from either Seneca County for Ann and also for Cindy. My position will be up through Sandusky County because my major responsibility is in Sandusky County, so we will have a search committee there. That will be all handled through OSU Extension. All advertisement and things like that will be either local or through Extension and how they want to do the advertising. But we will have advisory committees in both counties to say, what is the local needs? And go from there. You will be, you know, definitely invited to participate and be part of that committee.
And we have met with your advisory committee before, the past boards met with them before, and a great bunch of local people.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
How-
Any questions like that, please feel free to give us a call.
Well, congratulations to everyone, you two and Cindy as well, but it's our loss. How far in advance, I know Mark, yours been planning for a while, but I don't know if you've announced dates yet or not, Ann or Cindy has, but will they not post anything until the position is vacant? Will that be done if it's, you know, once your commitment is made? So in advance, or will we be a period of time without people? Just curious.
You'll probably be a period without people. Usually the posting happens right as that person is leaving.
Okay.
So, but there will be, you know, leadership from either the district or that to try to keep the programs up and running. You know, we know how important, you know, 4-H and Extension is in the counties, so we aren't going to try to leave you high and dry. It just happens that right now we have an awful lot of people that are going to be retiring. In Sandusky County, I'm leaving, Kay's leaving, So, all of a sudden we have these 20, 30-year people that are, met that golden age to say, wow, I want to try something else. And it's hitting everybody. But we wanted to give you guys a quick heads up on the idea this is going to happen here pretty quickly, especially for me. And, again, thank you for all your support in the past.
Any other questions for OSU?
No, thank you for updating us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, we are, let's sign the journal. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as outlined.
Second.
Okay, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoll,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner Lippert.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Okay, any old business from, Tanya, do you have any new business?
I do not.
Okay.
Well, I lied.
Yeah,
I do.
I was gonna say, you do.
Sorry. Tracy Elder with the Chaplains Corps was in yesterday afternoon, getting some final information together, and one of the things that she asked me is if the board has decided at least costs outside of paying for building improvements and utility and insurance costs.
I don't want to speak for the board, but I thought there would probably be no cost, maybe $1 or something.
I say the minimum
nominal,
lease
but
has always been $1, but, and I said that I just didn't know what the board's wishes were.
She's gonna have enough financial issues with that
Right.
building.
Yeah, that would be my feeling, if $1 a year, but again, it would be a year-to-year lease.
Yeah, and,
So make sure that they stay within the mission that they're currently under. The caveat that they're gonna have, or the difficulty, is they're gonna make some major improvements with only a year lease. Now, I guess we did talk about that. We could extend it, but every year we can break the lease if we want. And the only reason I would suggest we'd ever break it is if they would change their focus
Do
on what
you,
they're doing versus what they're doing now. As long as they continue with that, I would be very supportive of them.
would you like me to do typically what we've done, like say with the farm leases, it's a 1-year lease with an option to renew for a period of total of 5 years. When built within that is an out clause for both sides with so many days' notice prior to the, anniversary of that date. Does that sound like what you were looking
That's
for?
what we do at
I
the
think-
museum as well, correct?
Correct.
and we'll see,
That's
and we'll see the
inverse.
lease before we do a resolution.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I just wanna, same thought, is just make sure that we're not at any liabilities here in terms of financial obligations. Because, like I said, in a sense, it might be saving us demolition money, but just to make sure that,
Absolutely.
you know.
And she's working with, her insurance company is gonna be working with Jeannie at United to make sure both sides are covered, make sure she has her content coverage and that sort of thing. Working with her on defining the areas to be mowed and snow plowed, and just making sure all those things are attached to the lease, so it's just nice and easy for everyone down the road. So I'll work with her and get her that information.
You can assure her, we want her to succeed. We're not gonna, hold the lease, the
Okay.
first year after she put a bunch of money into it, assuming, like you say,
Yeah.
the thing hasn't changed and new leadership leads them in a direction of.
I mean, some, our lease, out clauses are all over the board. What were you thinking, like 90 days, which would be 3 months?
Whatever the museum has, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would get direction from the prosecutor on that.
Those are terms that we always set. I've got a lease that has a year out clause. Standard leases are more in the 30 to 90 day range. They're all over the board, that's why I was just wanting
I
some
would think-
direction.
I would think a 30 to 90 day would be more than sufficient.
So, yeah, minimum of 30 and whatever.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, and I think if you standardized it with the museum, then it would be,
Yeah.
It's
a
easier to
little-
manage
little
as well.
more
Yeah,
manageable.
yeah, have to remember who's there which ways.
Okay. Yeah, I think we were planning on kind of modeling that off the museums
Okay.
anyway, so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else, Noel?
Not unless I remember something like that.
Holly?
I-
Fred? One piece of old business I just found out, very disappointing, the language in the budget allowing us to do the ditch hearing by phone was removed in conference committee.
Really?
Yes, so, back to square one.
This is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. I called Senator Burke's office this morning and they could not tell me why. They were astounded too. I got a message into Rex. I have no idea.
fighting
That's nuts.
Okay.
Okay, new business. Mrs. Hemmer, you have new business for us?
I do. I have bill vouchers 81 through 83. I have resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $7,750 from workers' comp to contract services. Excuse me, this is for the, there's tier 1/Buster testing that has gone on at the Annex 117 East Market Street location. The state has changed their regulations and has not grandfathered us, therefore we have to start all over. So
We
that is
talked about that
to
last week.
putting money in place for that contract. Supplemental appropriation for the delinquent care and custody grant fund, $159, putting $760 into salaries, $2,675 into other expenses, and $110 in the PRS. That is to close out the grants. I have a resolution establishing and nominating members to the Dangerous Wild Animal Response Team. Dangerous Wild Animal Response Team. We have law enforcement would be the Seneca County Sheriff, fire would be Tiffin Fire Chief, first aid would be Seneca County EMS Director, emergency management would be Seneca County EMA Director, health would be Susan Predmore from Tiffin Mercy Hospital, media would be the Advertiser Tribune, elected official would be a Seneca County Commissioner, and dangerous wild animal owner would be Nancy Knight Swander. Members recommended by the State of Ohio Dangerous Wild Animal Emergency Response Commission is veterinarian Jesse Brothers and public health member of the Health District. Optional member would be elected official Gary Harrison, which is the mayor of Bettsville. This will be for a 3-year initial term.
Dr. Brothers is on that.
Jesse Brothers, yeah.
Jesse, I thought his name was Mike.
That's what he has on.
Okay, maybe it's Jesse Michael or Michael Jesse or something.
It's definitely Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we want to just check that out. 'Cause she thinks it's Michael too.
We will double check with Dan as he has provided this to us.
Okay. And you could even just call, it's Dr. McCone's office and they would know his first name. Just a side note here, I volunteered to be on that because I was at that meeting as the elected official, but if either of you would like to.
Go for it.
I thought it looked good on my resume.
You gotta think with those geese. They're not dangerous and exotic animals, however, it'll help you feel better.
All right.
I have a resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into a food service agreement with the North Central Academy on behalf of the Sheriff's Office. A resolution authorizing Jeffrey D. Wagner, President of the Seneca County Commissioners, to sign the Victims of Crime Act grant for VOCA and the State Victims Assistance Act SVAA grant documentation.
Okay, is there a motion for those?
I'll move that we adopt all the presented resolutions.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion? I might add too, on the wild animal team, that's supposed to be the state by July 1, so you might expedite that. I know we're a day late already, but might expedite that. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes. Okay, other new business. Nicole?
The one thing I have is that I got an email from Cheryl over at Hancock County, and the Hancock County Commissioners would like to meet with all counties involved with the Blanchard River Stream Enhancement Project to discuss cleaning and removal of log jams. They have a few dates down, Thursday, August 1st, Tuesday, August 6th, or Thursday, August 13th, or the 15th. And there's different times for each of those days. So I don't know if you guys want to do the Tuesday, because we know that's going to be a board day, but the only time they have open for that is 11 o'clock.
What was the Tuesday date?
The 6th, and I know that's the same day that they're doing that thing at NCOESC, that CNG
program for the vehicles.
We've got a thing with Huron.
Okay, maybe better pick a different day.
We got a ditch thing at 11:30.
Okay, well then that won't work. That's right, that's that Magnuson Creek thing. We can't
Right.
postpone that anymore.
You just wanna do like the Thursday, August 1st, or Thursday, August 13th, or Thursday, August 15th?
Doesn't matter to me.
I don't know, I would go for the 5th.
First would work the best for me.
August 13th is a Tuesday.
No, she has Thursday on here. I'm just going by what she gave me.
Okay, meeting the job and family.
If the 13th was an option, that's a Tuesday, that would be a good option.
Pardon?
If the 13th is, if she's got it listed as Thursday, but if she meant Tuesday,
Yeah, that could be, because she has.
so that would be a good choice. I was going to be in Columbus on Thursday morning, but I mean,
Does the 13th work the best for the board?
on the 1st.
Yeah, I can.
Probably
What time,
1 o'clock.
11:30?
11, 1, or 2.
1.
August 13th. Now that assumes that works for the other 6 counties,
Yeah.
so they
Right.
may,
Maybe pick a second
We're at
option.
Hancock County.
yeah. You wanna pick a second option?
The 15th was one of their choices. Was the 8th one of their choices or no?
No.
Okay. 15th.
First.
Yeah, the 1st is the one, like I said, I guess if I missed it, I missed it, but I was going to
What about
possibly be in Columbus.
what about
15th is,
Thursday?
15th's open for me. I don't know. But Fred's,
15th won't work for me.
okay.
I guess.
It would. At what time?
11, 1:30, or
Yeah.
2:30?
11.
That's fine.
Second option.
Okay, and you'll let us know as soon as they confirm all
Get it
that.
back to me.
Every so often, I think they remove it's kind of like Wolf Creek, they remove the logs from the main channel of that Blanchard River, and there's a heck of a watershed that flows into that. We pay a portion of that. We've got a small area in that, so it's, you know,
15th is 11.
it's not a huge deal. One of us has to miss that
And
meeting.
then I'll let you guys know for sure,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I got both those dates in
Is
there.
this, would this qualify if it had stayed in the budget about the conference or not because of so many counties?
I don't know, and
I'm just curious.
that language we keep working on only is for current projects, it wouldn't be for new projects, because this wouldn't be a new project either, I think this probably would have qualified for
I
it.
just wondered. Okay. Doesn't matter, they took it out.
Yes.
Good.
The senator said he'd reintroduce it, but you're starting at zero again.
The silliest thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It saves money, not costs money. I don't know.
So you'll let us know when that's set up. Okay, any more new business?
I have none.
Mr. Zoller?
No.
Okay, I don't either. We're gonna have an executive session here in a moment with some folks from Job and Family. Is there any public comment before that? Okay, so we'll enter into executive session with Kathy Oliver, Bob Anderson, and John Crock from McClevens and Nelson regarding personnel. That's the correct?
Yes.
yes, for. There won't be any action afterwards. We anticipating any action? Okay, so there won't be any action afterwards. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yeah.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. All right, thank you all for coming.